Today I want to talk about the second movement. I'm here at Dad's again, and there's this great path. I could stand up and turn around. You could see it's just this really beautiful forest path up above his house. You can also hear the freeway 405 down below just grinding away. So, I'm not sure we've made the world a better place with all of our improvements. I much prefer the sound of the birds and the wind than the grinding of, tires on asphalt. Today I want to talk about the second movement. Just as a reminder, the three movements are a way to move from a story-based life that is fragile, frustrating, futile, to a life that's really an existentially based life that becomes then the fountain of story so that your life changes from a life that is based on story to a life that is an expression of your existence. And I've talked about that, in other places, and I'm working to try to explain this shift better and better. And each day I'm, sort of working through these three movements that are a part of this shift more. The three movements are a response, a facing up, if you will, to three dark forces that we all face. And these forces undermine our story. The first dark force is, I call it Inyarus, and it's just the fact that we're lost. The fact that we really don't have answers. So how can we have a true story if we don't know what's going on around here? And we really don't know what's going on around here. So the true story Inyarus undermines the true story. Vanitas, or vanity, undermines the happy ending. And we figure this out in life at some point, that as much as we try to make our lives come to this happy place that just, stays, they keep on moving. And it's Lucy with the football. And then the third dark specter I call Rapax. And that's facing up to the fact that we all want to live in a world where we belong, where we're loved, where everybody just loves everybody. Why can't we all just get along, as Rodney King put it? And the fact is we can't. And there's a dark force, and I don't get this, but nature is red in tooth and claw. And evidently when God told man to kill and eat, he accidentally hit CC all, because this whole world is, filled with predators. And as much as we would like to think we're all just these loving, giving creatures, the fact is that we all have to eat to live. So I've said a lot about that. Today I want to go back though and just look at the second movement, because it's the one that's just staring me in the face right now here with Dad. It's my third trip up here, if anyone's counting, in the last couple of months. I'm trying to give my sister just a little bit of relief. She's been the hero in this whole saga with Dad. But it's hard, because growing old is just, you're just staring Vanitas in the face. And this means, we're trying to work out a solution. He fell and broke his hip, and then he was okay for a couple of weeks. Then he fell again because the darn wheel came off his walker and cracked a vertebra, which made him in horrible pain, which means he can barely get out of bed or just even do basic functions to take care of himself. And so, okay, is he going to get over this, or, what's next? Are we going to be able to, I can't come up every week for the rest of my life. My sister has limits on her, ability, and my little sister Jane, she would love to be here, but she's down in Texas and just started a new job. And so anyway, how do we put this puzzle together? How do we come to some sort of happy ending to this? And here's the hard truth that you have to face is, we're not going to come to a happy ending to this. We know the ending of this. Dad will go through a series of degradations, and then he will die. And that's a hard thing to face. But it's not just true about Dad, it's true of every one of us. And as, Vanitas, vanity, all is vanity. Every venture we launch into, if we succeed, we get to the end and we think, okay, the happy ending. Well, it may be happy for a moment, but it's not an ending, because we find that our appetite is infinite and we're always wanting more. So the crux of the second movement, the key to the second movement is facing this. It's not a way around it. And none of the movements are a way around these specters. There is no way around them. The choice is, do I live in denial or do I face these things? Do I face up? That's why I call it facing up. It's a choice. Okay, I'm going to face the fact that I'm lost, that I can't write a true story. I'm going to face the fact that I can't ever wind up with a happy ending, and I'm going to face the fact that I can't create this community where everybody is just loving all the time and everybody's, well, it's Cheers, where everybody knows your name and they're always glad you came. Sometimes they're glad you came, sometimes they wish you had stayed home, and sometimes you wish you had stayed home, because people can be a pain. So what I'm saying is these movements are not a way around the specter. So with Vanitas, this is not a workaround for the fact that we can't write a happy ending. It's facing that fact. And in each case, when we face the fact and really face this specter head on, there is an alternative. So when I see that I can't come to a happy ending, I do, immediately I fall into despair at the ruin of my story. And then of course I try to fix my story, and then it breaks down again and I try to repair it. So this cycle of despair and repair. But see, there's an alternative. When I face the fact that I can't write a happy ending, I can just continue to do that doom loop of despair and repair, but I don't have to. I can face up to the fact that there is no happy ending that I can see. I just have to accept that. I accept that, and that's the word, acceptance. I accept that. That's the way life is. And when I accept that, I then ask the question, well, now what? And my answer is not apathy. So like acceptance is not apathy, just going like, well, Dad's going to die, so whatever, who cares, right? Life is suffering, life stinks, then you die, that kind of attitude. Acceptance is not like sort of spitting on it. Acceptance is really like, I accept this, I receive this. I was tempted to use the word gratitude for this, because it is very much like gratitude when you fully accept. But it just felt like too much of a leap to tell someone who's like in pain like my dad, just be grateful. I think the first thing we have to do is just accept our situation. I mean, this is, I have no explanation for it, but this is how it is. And once we accept that, then it allows me then to say, well, how shall I live? And the answer to that is that it's possible then to enter back into your life, into your story, not as like this Pat's job to try to make things right and perfect, but as an embrace of life. And the best word for this by far is play. And I don't mean play in a flippant sense, but play as in like, I'm in, like you play music, like you play sports. Well, you play life, you engage, you say, I'm in and I'm going to engage in this, and I'm going to find a way in this situation, this where I have to live with this Vanitas, that I accept that. And actually, Vanitas becomes something of a liberator, because I don't have to fix it. I can't fix it. That's kind of liberating. To the person who has really understood Vanitas and accepted Vanitas, vanity of vanity, all is vanity, Solomon's cry, is not a cry of despair. It is a cry of triumph, because it's the realization that I accept this. It's all vanity. Now, I'm just going to embrace it, and my embrace looks like play. I'm going to engage. And getting back to my dad, play to me looks like being there with him, being there for him, using humor whenever I can to laugh, to remember the old times, to point to our connection, and just to sort of be in that moment with him. I texted my sisters as we're trying to noodle our way through this that, if we get through this with Dad, and we have communicated to Dad how much we appreciate him and love him and just wrap our arms around him, and if we still love each other and, don't get annoyed with each other for our different ideas and, frustrations, and if we get through this and we're still laughing, if we get through this and we're still like connected and playful, that's a win. That's a win. It's not a win to think that we're going to come up with some final solution, that we're going to undo the curse and that Dad is going to live forever and we're going to all be happily ever after. That's not going to happen. So the entering an engagement back into life, having faced vanity, chosen acceptance, and then now entering back from this level of this existential level of acceptance and then entering life as play, it allows you to very much be engaged in life. It's not checking out, but it's letting go of the illusion of the happy ending. And that's actually, in the end, very liberating. So these are pretty high sounding thoughts up here in the forest with the beautiful trees around me and the birds and 405 grinding away down there below. I mean, up here, it's easy to say that. When Dad's, in pain and calling and, I got to get up and take care of him, whatever. I mean, it's a little bit different deal. I'm going to play about this. Well, I do. I try to. I mean, I don't say I always do it, but that's what I'm aiming for. Acceptance and play, and just trying to bring that into every part of my life, from eating breakfast to tying my shoes to how I relate to my wife and my kids and, of course, my dad.